This story from years past still resonates deeply within me, a poignant echo of past events. I am a 30-year-old woman, and my ex-husband, 38-year-old Greg, and I share two children, Louisa, 9, and Ted, 7. Our marriage dissolved over 5 years ago. The root of our separation was a profound difference in desires. I found contentment with our two children, but he yearned for more, a desire that even intense therapy couldn't fully bridge. Despite this divergence, we managed to forge a functional co-parenting bond. There were no disputes over child support. We maintained an equitable 50-50 arrangement. We always prioritized the children's stability, ensuring their lives weren't disrupted, accommodating each other whenever unforeseen circumstances arose. 4 years following our divorce, Greg remarried Tessie, also 38. They have a son, and another child is poised to make their appearance in this world within a few weeks. This seemingly harmonious arrangement, however, was about to face an unexpected and profound test, revealing the true nature of our post-divorce relationship and the complex web of favors woven between us. I've always championed peaceful co-parenting for our children's sake. My wedding to Luke, my fiancé, is set for February. We've built a life over 3 years. He's known my children too, moving in last year. Our group chat, strictly about the children, keeps interactions light, never truly friendly. One firm rule: new partners would meet us before the children, a simple, respected boundary. My past with Tessie and Greg reflects unwavering generosity. When they married, I willingly kept the kids an extra week for their honeymoon. I even sacrificed my own custody week so they'd settle into their new home, as they hadn't lived together. It was a gesture of goodwill. Later, for their first child, I again stepped up, caring for our children for almost a month. While they saw their new brother, my focus was giving Tessie, a first-time mother, crucial adjustment time. My support was profound, my sacrifices abundant, but this long-standing spirit of selfless cooperation is now severely tested. Weeks ago, at one of Lacey's games, Tessie, quite casually, announced her C-section date. It's scheduled squarely in my * custody week. My automatic response was to say we were excited for them. Yet, as the words left my lips, a deep resentment began to simmer. How could she, once again, expect me to yield my time? This felt like a blatant disregard for my schedule, my life, and every sacrifice I'd made for her family. I immediately agreed to extend their stay. Of course, I could keep the children that week, and then the following week too. We simply aimed to return to our usual custody schedule during their next period. My ex, however, hesitated, her voice tinged with uncertainty. She inquired if we might consider keeping them for yet another custody week, hoping to provide the newborn with a full month to adjust. My heart did soften. I quickly reassured her it was fine. While I hadn't anticipated such an extended need for their second baby, I understood deeply that C-sections are not minor procedures. They are major surgeries requiring significant recovery. I confirmed my absolute willingness to keep the child for as long as needed. After all, they don't live far. Bringing the little ones over for visits is never an imposition, and nothing brings me more joy than having my children with me. But then, a different kind of excitement filled our thoughts. We had finally ironed out the intricate details for our honeymoon, a luxurious 3-week escape. I know such duration might seem extravagant to some, but it has always been a cherished dream, a pivotal item on both our bucket lists. It's an adventure not entirely suited for young children, making our honeymoon the perfect, unparalleled opportunity to embrace it fully. The plan unfurls thus. We will exchange vows on a Saturday, which falls on my week. The children will spend that crucial night with Greg, staying with him for his entire week. Following that, they would remain in his care for our trip. I propose they care for the children during my custody week, plus 1 extra evening. It seemed a modest, necessary request. My support system is non-existent. Parents died tragically young, grandparents gone before them. The aunt and uncle who helped raise me retired to New Mexico, a 3-hour flight plus 2-hour drive at minimum. I stand utterly alone. Though friends have watched the kids before, I saw no issue asking Greg for this week. A clear precedent existed for his involvement. I texted him a general plan, then emailed a detailed one. Locations, days, times, contact info. Absolute clarity was my aim. I thought all was well and good. But then a chilling silence descended. Days passed. Finally, an email arrived. What Luke and I now, with grim humor, call the manifesto. It was long, rambling, repetitive, and obviously partially written by ChatGPT. Its cruel gist: what kind of mother takes a 3-week vacation without her kids? It branded me a terrible person in general for daring to ask a young mo. The audacity of their response still stings. I had merely proposed a temporary arrangement. My stepchildren under their care, full-time for 3 weeks, allowing me a much-needed respite. Tessie, my ex-husband's new partner, had the gall to brand me a horrible co-parent for this request. Her constant references to being a young mother of young kids, their newest baby barely 6 months old, were a thinly veiled jab, profoundly irking me. It wasn't as if she'd be alone. Greg, their father, would naturally be present. Their self-righteous judgment continued. Luke, my husband, had chosen not to have more children, undergoing a vasectomy years ago, a decision made with firm conviction. This personal choice, this fundamental life path, somehow entitled them to lecture us. Don't think that gives you permission to dump Louisa and Ted on us to gallivant around, she'd sneered, as if my life was a series of frivolous escapades, a gallivant I have never once indulged in. The hypocrisy was quite infuriating. They insisted we figure our own weeks out ourselves, dismissing our plea as not life or death and utterly ridiculous. But a line had been crossed. Their incessant accusations of dumping the children, painting us as irresponsible and selfish, ignited a slow-burning fury within me. My patience, already stretched thin, finally snapped. I decided then I would not simply endure their scorn. I resolved to act, not out of malice, but a desperate need for them to grasp the weight of their words. And so, a quiet, meticulous plan began to take shape. I went through, a quiet frustration simmered. I felt I was shouldering too much, so I took action. Over 4 years, I meticulously combed through texts, compiling a detailed spreadsheet. My goal: quantify how often my ex and his partner, I, asked for childcare and duration. The stark truth, laid bare, was this: they had requested childcare for an astonishing 87 nights across 52 instances, while I had only asked 8 times for a mere 12 nights. This undeniable disparity, while somewhat understandable given their new baby, deeply validated my gnawing suspicion. It confirmed I wasn't imagining the imbalance. I wasn't crazy. My friends, seeing my exhaustion, frequently advise me to draw a firm line. Once their new baby arrives, they urge, refuse to keep the children during their * custody time. But my heart aches at the mere thought. How could I deny myself precious moments with my own kids? My love for them transcends any resentment, any burden. I yearn to see them as much as possible. Despite this, I consistently do so much more than required. Let me give you just a few examples. Every single school day, I, or sometimes my partner Luke, if he's off work, am there for school pickup. During Greg's custody weeks, I then drive the children directly to their house. Why? Because Greg doesn't finish work until 5 p.m., and I want to spare Tessie from having to take their new infant out just for school run. And yes, she no longer works. The irony isn't lost. Our divorce decree explicitly states that whoever's week it is must drop off and pick up the children. The daily ritual of shuttling our children to their father's residence has become an increasingly heavy burden I alone carry. For far too long, the constant back and forth has fallen solely to my exhausted shoulders, especially since the arrival of his new child, shifting his priorities completely. A mere 5-minute drive, or a pleasant 20-minute walk on a good day, yet I undertake this ceaseless journey countless times, feeling the weight of his passive indifference. Every doctor's appointment, every single school-related task and parental duty during the day lands squarely and relentlessly on my already overflowing plate. My flexible schedule allows this, but Greg's rigid work demands mean he'd have to use precious PTO for even the simplest task. It's more than an unspoken imbalance. It's a profound injustice, a silent, insidious drain on my finite time, precious energy, and dwindling patience. Our divorce decree mandated shared health insurance costs. Though the children are covered under his employer's plan, I manage all their care. Since I am the one taking them to every doctor's visit and specialist appointment, I am the one who pays every copay upfront. I meticulously track every single one of these expenditures, acutely aware of his premium contributions, always preparing myself for a hypothetical day when accounts might finally need balancing. For years, these out-of-pocket expenses were minimal, barely a ripple on the surface of our lives. But then, life delivered a devastating blow. Our beloved daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. The financial impact was immediate, a crushing wave of soaring medical bills, continuous prescriptions, and specialized, ongoing care. The expenses quickly became a relentless, overwhelming tide, far exceeding any financial burden I had ever anticipated or was prepared to manage. While the burden wasn't yet killing me, when I carefully broached the escalating costs with Greg, he merely grumbled about how tight money was, displaying a callous disregard for our child's needs. A quiet yet fiercely protective resolve, born purely of my unending love for our daughter, settled over me then, hardening my spirit against the unfairness. She needed this care, regardless. I decided it wouldn't disrupt her life or mine further. So I chose, with a heavy heart, to silently absorb his portion, letting the unpaid tally grow into a crushing, undeniable testament to my solitary, unrelenting struggle-creeping resentment has settled deep within me. I've stayed silent, but these burdens are growing too heavy to bear alone. Their son is currently being diagnosed with autism, experiencing devastating meltdowns, a fact Greg shared with me. This often means they call, pleading for me to take the kids for a few hours when things get overwhelming. I love my family, cherishing time with them, but I've canceled countless personal plans for these demands. My sacrifices go utterly unnoticed, unappreciated. Then there's my car. Greg had an accident 7 months ago. Since then, he's been using my old vehicle, a car I hadn't sold, not particularly valuable, but still mine. 7 months have passed with absolutely no effort to replace it, no intention of returning it. It simply became his without a word. And the problems don't end there. Greg travels for work, and they have a cat. Louisa usually handles the litter box when he's away. However, since her health diagnoses, and until her lab results and overall health are quite truly stable, we both explicitly agreed she shouldn't handle it. They do let the cat outside daily. To complicate matters further, Tessie, being pregnant, insists she shouldn't have to. And little Ted is simply too young. He tried, but it wasn't enough. My partner's past attempts to manage this always failed, leaving me to pick up the pieces, and so I have been the one consistently carrying the load. But now, a profound shift is upon us. I will soon inform them that these extensive benefits, which they've enjoyed purely through my goodwill, are coming to a definitive end. I will, however, stand by my unwavering commitment to care for the children after her C-section. My promise to my kids remains sacred. Yet, the sheer audacity of their refusal to fulfill the single, simple request I made, a request mirroring the myriad of favors I've extended to them, has driven me to this breaking point. Many of my friends believe I am not going far enough, urging me to sever all ties. But a small, cautious voice among them warns that such a drastic step could shatter our fragile co-parenting dynamic, inflicting pain on our precious children. That concern, above all others, is the only true hesitation in my heart. The opinions of strangers online validated my simmering resentment. I found no definitive judgment, but the overwhelming sentiment echoed my own. My last detailed account is readily available for those seeking context. The flood of responses, while initially overwhelming, crystallized my conviction. I had indeed been exploited. Those who urged me to simply let it go truly misunderstood the depth of my struggle. It was a clear realization that hardened my resolve. I now knew I've long kept silent, but the undeniable truths about my complex history with Greg and others' misguided judgments must be aired. Those who misunderstand us, including my dear children Greg and Tessie, need a profound reality check. Our unique bond began in earliest childhood. I was barely 4 when our families became neighbors, forging a genuine friendship for many years. This connection deepened in college. A casual liaison irrevocably changed our entire lives when I became pregnant. In that crucial defining moment, Greg never faltered, not for an instant. He rose to the occasion, marrying me, fiercely embracing his responsibilities wholeheartedly. He became our steadfast provider, covering all expenses as I completed my education, even funding my entire college career. Beyond these selfless acts, he had always been a truly good man, indeed, my closest confidant. While some perceived me as taken advantage of early on, others later believed I exploited him once my career took off and the big bucks rolled in. Perceptions, I've learned, are often skewed. I initiated our divorce. He, always decent, suggested therapy, offering to mend what was broken between us. But I truly understood asking him to carry that burden, to force a repair I knew couldn't genuinely happen, was a request I simply couldn't make. Our path diverged, yet mutual respect and quiet reciprocity truly endured. Even after our marriage, he consistently provided support, demonstrating a loyalty few could match. My hands once toiled relentlessly, setting up my new home before Luke and I got together. I remember mowing the lawn, cleaning gutters, fixing appliances, tasks that consumed me. Those days are long gone. I'm no longer shouldering every burden. Let me be clear, my efforts were never unappreciated. Before the manifesto shattered our peace, their gratitude was vocal and heartwarming. There's genuine joy in helping those who appreciate you, a satisfaction that lifts your spirit. Yet now, in this chilling post-manifesto era, that joy is absent. The warmth has vanished. I gain no pleasure from extending my hand. I've reached my breaking point. I cannot continue bending over backwards, sacrificing my peace, simply because he was once kind. I won't. A fury ignited within me after my last post, a burning need to respond to the manifesto. As I steeled myself, preparing for confrontation, the phone rang. It was Greg. Amped, defiant, I answered. He began with an apology. He didn't say it directly, but the implication was clear. Tessie, overwhelmed by emotions, had penned that scathing email in a moment of raw anger. The painful truth was slowly beginning to unravel. He attempted to shift blame, citing his son's struggles and Louis's strenuous battle to keep her type 1 diabetes in check. A constant, harrowing worry only another parent of a type 1 child truly understands. She had, he claimed, grossly misinterpreted my email, somehow believing I demanded they keep the children for 3 of my custody periods, a staggering 6 weeks total. Rereading their manifesto, I could, with effort, trace the faint, twisted logic of her delusion, but it remained utterly incoherent from the start. Then, a sliver of sense. He confirmed our 1-week honeymoon request was totally fine, assuring me they would figure it out. Yet, the damage was done. He acknowledged, with shame, their earlier communication had been entirely inappropriate, unequivocally uncalled for. My mood, however, was far from forgiving. I unleashed a torrent of indignation, informing him, without doubt, that it was the most deranged, utterly fabricated email I had ever endured. I pressed further, asking if, in the cold light of day, anything they wrote rang true to him. He admitted, hesitantly, no. My mind had been a tempest of indecision. Part of me yearned to issue an ultimatum. To condemn their actions, to declare we would never again accommodate their erratic custody swaps, to tell him to go to hell, indifferent to their future needs, even if they had 5 more children. My resolve began to harden, a silent and resolute promise of future inflexibility. His audacious demand that I care for more children during Tessie's C-section shocked me. My refusal was absolute. I'd take our kids for her procedure, keeping them throughout my custody period, and he'd get them back for his next scheduled period. That still left 10 days for recovery. More help. He'd arrange extra childcare for our kids, as he must for his other son. He argued. I bulldozed through. I reminded him this favor, and all my past childcare help could be repaid by watching the kids during my honeymoon week. He conceded, fair, and thanked me hollowly, but I declared. His email was so out of line, every extra was over. His choice, new carpool, no bus, private school, or I'd pick up, but he or Tessie would collect them from my home during their weeks. If they are unable to care for the children due to, I offered my help with their sons' meltdowns or new babies' demands, but issued a stark warning. Their persistent, baseless accusations had wounded me. From that moment, I would meticulously track every incident. If this pattern became an issue, a threat to my peace and the children's stability, I would not hesitate to file for primary custody. I asked if this drastic consequence would clarify priorities. I extended a difficult compromise. He could have the children every other weekend, and I, despite my legal right, would waive child support, acknowledging his difficult situation. Yet he stubbornly insisted it wasn't necessary, claiming it was entirely on them to figure things out. He offered little response, only a hollow apology. I explained, with a heavy heart, that while rebuilding our shattered trust wasn't impossible, it would demand immense time and tireless hard work from him and his wife. My emotional well was depleted. I was exhausted from pouring so much, only to be attacked. He promised he understood and would resolve everything, but my guard remained up. I reiterated this was merely another verbal understanding, devoid of legal binding. The first time either of them slipped, made outrageous demands, this fragile truce would shatter. I would not tolerate it. My patience was finite, the venom in that email had poisoned everything. Should another whisper of her malice, or any echo of those vile words, dare to surface, I vowed to unleash a storm. My character had been relentlessly slandered, pushed beyond its limits. A lawyer was now on retainer, a silent sentinel of my resolve, though our first meeting was yet to come. Sometimes, the mere shadow of impending justice is enough. His understanding was a silent, solemn nod, a grave promise of support. Soon, Tessie's hollow apology arrived via text. It felt performative, a feigned contrition I could not accept. Trust, once shattered, can never be fully restored. I harbored no illusions. Greg would never abandon her. But her audacity, her belief that such a demeaning, demonizing email could be justified after my years of unwavering support. That act extinguished any ember of grace I might have offered. It was a profound betrayal, crushing the last vestiges of my compassion. My reply was a frigid, brief acknowledgement, a final period on a painful chapter. Then, I resolutely moved forward, leaving her in my wake. Their lives, I knew with chilling certainty, were about to descend into a vortex of immense difficulty. The reckoning was coming. Should their struggles ever ripple and touch my children, my response would be swift, devastating. Yet, I also understood that a slight decrease in comfort at their father's home, compared to the sanctuary I provide, might not be the most harmful lesson. Their fundamental needs would forever be safeguarded. This I know with absolute certainty. They have been in therapy, building resilience for precisely such moments. While I'm continuously ensuring their emotional resilience and overall well-being, I remain deeply concerned that Tessie might unleash her frustrations upon them. I genuinely believe they would confide in me if that truly happened. Having absorbed countless narratives here, a pair of striking realizations crystallized. First, the matter of the car. This vehicle is specifically earmarked for my friend's stepdaughter, intended for her use once she secures her driver's permit. She is just 15, a girl universally cherished by us all, yet afflicted by that peculiar malaise common to adolescence. A complete and utter lack of motivation. When I broached this topic with my friend, she promptly informed her husband. He, without hesitation, ascended the stairs and firmly instructed his daughter to prepare herself immediately to attempt her permit test. She regrettably failed her first attempt, but remains steadfast in her resolve to try again next week. He, in turn, will finalize the car's purchase then. Greg is acutely aware of this timeline and understands he has precisely until next week to procure a replacement vehicle of his own. Then there is the cat. This creature is not, in fact, Tessie's pet. It was Greg's rather transparent, guilt-ridden first Christmas offering from a newly divorced father. I must admit, I've grown quite fond of her. She's incredibly sweet and affectionate. I have not begrudged assisting with her care, especially given Louis's palpable regret for no longer being able to fulfill those duties. Honestly, were it not for Louis's genuine remorse, I would simply not have bothered. A storm had been brewing, silently, for far too long. My relationship with my ex, a fragile truce at best, finally fractured under the weight of recent events. The raw truth emerged. His new son's autism, while tragic, highlighted the urgent need for new boundaries. I realize now that I allowed myself to become too deeply involved, offering favors that crossed lines I should have fiercely guarded. I remember those few instances I cleaned their cat's litter box, a small act of kindness I wouldn't have agreed to if I'd foreseen this painful unraveling. Greg's impending induction means he won't be traveling, making my past assistance a moot point. Still, it serves as a stark reminder. Should they choose another pregnancy, hiring someone for such tasks is non-negotiable. My days of enabling are unequivocally over. The issues with my ex and his wife were substantial, to say the least. My decision to completely withdraw any past favors is not merely justified, but absolutely deserved on their part. I am done with bending, done with giving. I am reclaiming my peace, my hard-won independence. My focus now is unwavering. The life I meticulously built, vibrant and full. I eagerly anticipate my wedding day and the exhilarating trip to Japan. These joyous milestones, alongside the boundless love for my children, define my path forward. While they navigate the consequences of their own choices and endeavor to rebuild their village, I will be living my truth, free and unburdened. Peace. At last I've wrestled with this agonizing dilemma for months, a silent struggle that truly tears at my heart. My children, innocent and loving, are caught in a web of difficult family dynamics, and I fear the future. My ex-partner has a young son, barely 3 or 4, a little boy who seems profoundly autistic. He struggles immensely, still not speaking, prone to terrifying meltdowns, even self-harm. In the past, living nearby, I often stepped in. When their son's distress became unbearable and my own children were present, I'd answer the call, rushing to collect them, offering a safe haven. But a line has been crossed. My ex's recent actions have been deplorable, and I've made a difficult yet firm decision. I will no longer extend such crucial assistance. Another baby is on the way, adding another layer of inevitable stress to their chaotic lives. I understand the immense pressure they face. It will be incredibly difficult. My heart aches for the complexity of it all. Yet, I must prioritize. My paramount concern is shielding my children from anything traumatic. This little boy, despite everything, is still their half-brother, and their affection for him is undeniable. It's vital they maintain a relationship with their father and his extended family, fostering those connections. But above all else, I must secure what is truly best for my own children. How can I guide them to remain resilient and positive in the face of such profound challenges, while simultaneously protecting their fragile emotional well-being? This question haunts me, a heavy shadow stretching into the unknown future. I made a promise to myself, a difficult boundary set after my ex's inexcusable behavior. I will simply not do favors anymore. The moment came when I resolved to stop doing any favors for my ex, Greg 38M, and his wife, Tessie 38. It was an unhinged email from her that truly snapped my patience. All I had asked was if they could keep our children, 7 and 9, for one of my custody weeks while my fiancé, Luke, and I went on our honeymoon. I thought it a reasonable request given our co-parenting history. Honestly, things have mostly been fine since then. Greg and Tessie just welcomed another baby boy about a month ago. I even took our kids for one of their asterisk custody weeks, offering a rare reprieve despite the underlying tension. But Tessie's anger towards me seems to deepen with every passing day, a bitterness I can scarcely comprehend. The week before their new arrival, a long, hostile text message landed in my inbox. Her instructions were baffling, almost absurd. When I brought the children to the hospital to see their new half-brother, I was forbidden from bringing them up. They would have to navigate the hospital alone, she decreed, because Greg would be busy. Yet, I was explicitly told to stay, rooted in the waiting area, unable to leave, as she had no idea how long their visit might be. My internal response was a simple, bewildered, okay? It contrasted sharply with their previous child's birth, when I was invited in personally to meet the baby. I know this sounds petty, but I really do. Family dynamics have always been a challenge. Recently, they've become a personal saga. I constantly wrestle with boundaries, striving to shield my peace from the chaos others embrace. My aversion to babies is no secret, a fact I've long accepted. When a new infant arrived, I made a pragmatic choice, unwilling to be at the new mother's constant beck and call. I arranged for Greg's mother to take the kids to meet the baby. This logical decision ignited immediate fury. It was not the right call, and I faced unfair criticism, a fresh target of disapproval. This incident solidified my resolve. I've disengaged from the draining group chat, opting for streamlined communications solely with Greg. Tessie still contacts me, but I ignore her unless it's directly about the children. Their drama no longer shadows my life. I refuse to be pulled into their emotional vortex. I don't often discuss their family conflicts, but a recent revelation from the children was jarring. They casually informed Luke that when their brother has a meltdown, they simply retreat to another floor, treating it as no big deal. This nonchalant attitude, shared randomly, struck a raw nerve. While they relish my presence for pickups, those cunning rascals, their grasp of sibling responsibility was underdeveloped. I confronted them gently, explaining their actions lacked good sibling support, reminding them their family bond was crucial, even if I was always available. Consequently, my guilt about not always being available for pickups has significantly diminished. Yet, old habits persist, and sometimes, despite my resolve, I still acquiesce to their pleas. This journey has left me in a perplexing, emotionally ambiguous place, navigating the delicate balance between self-preservation and familial obligation. A path I'm still learning to master. A significant dilemma weighs heavily on my mind as our wedding day approaches. I was invited to their wedding, yes, but extending an invitation to them for hours feels like a cruel joke, an utterly impossible consideration. We share many mutual friends, and it was through one of them that their true nature was revealed. She reported that if I dared to defy their wishes, if I stopped doing whatever they demanded, they would immediately pursue child support. Their astonishing logic was that their previous restraint was solely due to my helpfulness. The sheer arrogance of it still makes my blood boil. Good luck with that, I remember thinking, utterly incredulous at their delusion. But their audacity didn't end there. When our mutual friend, who is kindly assisting with our wedding preparations, made a neutral reference to the upcoming event, they brazenly acted as if their attendance was a foregone conclusion. It left me utterly dumbfounded, wondering if they were truly smoking crack, as the saying goes. I realize now I must decisively address this situation. Ignoring their manipulative games and refusing to cater to their demands was incredibly challenging at first. I confess I was a people pleaser for too long, but learning to disregard their opinions and expectations has been a liberating transformation. All I ever desired was a good childhood for my kids, and I understand now that I can only ensure that within my own sphere, within my own home. This space, this peace, is mine to protect, fiercely. I have kept quiet for too long, but these frustrations have long simmered beneath the surface, held for too long. My life, perpetually complicated by my ex, truly feels like a constant battle. The never-ending discussion about child support, for instance. Despite me earning significantly more than he does, allowing him a potential claim, the sheer audacity of their situation infuriates me. They, meaning my ex and his partner, chose asterisk for her to quit working. Meanwhile, I'm the one shouldering the lion's share of responsibility, having the children more than half the time, truly. It's a bitter pill to swallow, this perceived injustice that boils within me. Then there are my children. Some might wonder why I speak to them about their sibling dynamic, especially when their brother has a meltdown. It's not about them being bad siblings for seeking space upstairs. That's a misinterpretation. It's about their manipulative tactics, telling me they prefer being with me, using that as an excuse for convenience, for avoiding a difficult moment. He is their brother. There's an inherent bond they should respect, not exploit. And the wedding? Oh, the wedding. The very thought of inviting them stirs a deep dread of inevitable drama. People question my sanity for even considering it. The irony is, they actually did asterisk agree to help out during my honeymoon, to care for the kids. but I'm no fool. I've laid down contingency plans, secured backup. I wouldn't dream of leaving my children vulnerable, not when I'm thousands of miles away, across the world. My ex simply doesn't grasp the depth of my resolve. This saga, it continues. My wedding approaches, a beacon of hope after years of turmoil. My ex-partner's shadow still looms. Inviting him to celebrate my new beginning is preposterous. Our relationship isn't just unhealthy, it's profoundly toxic. I intend to co-parent strictly, without the pretense of friendship. I've distanced myself, cutting ties cleanly. Mutual friends might not understand my decision, but true friends will recognize the toxicity and support my need for peace. It is unhealthy for our children to witness this strained dynamic with their stepmother. I refuse to let their potential absence ruin my wedding. They're certainly not coming. I can't fathom why they'd expect an invitation after everything. I've resolved to ignore their presumptuousness. The drama, however, doesn't end with the wedding. I've been meticulous, documenting every day I've had our children, every overnight visit. Should they ever challenge me in court, I am prepared. My attorney stands ready to solidify our custody agreement, ensuring it reflects the history of our shared parenting. I'll also be seeking reimbursement for outstanding expenses. Medical bills, extracurricular activities, every shared cost unpaid. My lawyer is exploring the possibility of securing support for their college education, a vital investment in their future. This isn't just about me. It's for my children, a fight I am fully prepared to win, knowing that in many U.S. states, such support is within reach. The specter of legal battles, increasingly common, always brings a knot of dread. If served papers for court, the wise counsel advises resolving as many issues as possible concurrently. It's about making those looming lawyers' bills genuinely worthwhile. My initial stance, however, was stubbornly pragmatic. I have an entire spreadsheet, I'd tell myself, utterly convinced I wouldn't hire an attorney unless absolutely compelled. My meticulous planning, I believed, offered all the defense I'd ever truly need. But then, the candid advice began to slowly erode my firm conviction. One commenter offered a stark, necessary truth. His choice for his wife not to work, despite my higher income, wouldn't automatically guarantee them child support. This was a critical distinction that deeply sobered me. While I desperately wanted to avoid any legal expenses, the undeniable reality began to form. If they pursued this, investing in professional legal counsel would be far more beneficial. This became especially pertinent if I could prove having the children over 50% of the time and was constantly being called upon for their assistance. The urgent counsel was clear. Consult a lawyer before it becomes an absolute emergency, preparing for that route rather than foolishly missing a vital opportunity. My immediate, rather defensive thought quickly surfaced. Her not working won't affect child support, it's only his income. I clung to that simplistic, hopeful interpretation, hoping against hope it would hold true. Yet, another voice of experience resonated with chilling finality. Just FYI, not hiring a lawyer can definitely cost you a lot more money in the end. That brutal truth echoed within me, a cold wave of realization washing over my confidence. The potential for immense financial loss without proper representation loomed large, threatening to unravel my carefully constructed spreadsheet and everything I had meticulously built. My initial reluctance now felt short-sighted, even utterly reckless. I realized then the profound, undeniable importance of expert legal guidance. My future, and my hard-won peace of mind, now unequivocally demanded it, leaving no room for further doubt or hesitation. My recent spreadsheet might show order, but my true calm stems from a deep conviction about my ex-partner. I maintain a steadfast belief they will never actually pursue child support. Neither possesses the executive function for such a daunting task, especially with a new baby and a severely disabled child demanding their attention. I am profoundly confident this worry is unfounded. If I'm wrong, I'll return, ready for the inevitable "I told you so." But not all worries dissipate so easily. A friend urged a backup plan for my honeymoon, fearing my entitled ex would, at the last minute, renege on childcare to punish me. Her recent manipulative behavior validates this fear. I assured them, My partner and I are bound for Japan, a backup ready. I anticipate her stunt, but refuse to let it shadow our special time. My peace of mind is paramount. My children receive emotional support. Yes, they are in therapy. I offer a safe space to vent, to express frustrations openly. But I draw a firm line when grievances turn manipulative. We'd rather be at Mom's because he annoys us, so let's ask to go to her house. I am resolute. I will not raise teenagers exhibiting such tactics, manipulating situations through emotional blackmail. My goal is resilience and respect, not entitlement. I ensure they grow into strong, independent individuals. I've seen it play out too often. Children think they can just exploit whichever parent they're least mad at, staying where it's convenient. Their blatant entitlement infuriates me. Such manipulative tactics are utterly appalling.